Number 10. On the note of LucasArts, who doesn't love Star Wars games? I mean, not only are there a ton of good ones out there, but the best of them hold up as some of the best games that you'll ever play. The series is also well known for having some of the best music to come out of a film series, so composers working on original soundtracks for Star Wars games really have to put in a lot of effort. So without further ado, here's the Rogue Squadron theme song. Now, there are 3 main Rogue Squadron games, with 2 additional games by the same people that follow the same gameplay but aren't labeled as Rogue Squadron games, one of which we already talked about. Each game in the Rogue Squadron trilogy had its own variation of the same theme. Rogue Leader had a reorchestrated version of the original song, but Rebel Strike took it a step further, and made a much more emotional and varied theme. I'm actually very torn on which one I like more, the original theme or Rebel Strike's, so it's a tie. The original is classic, very memorable, and sets the militaristic mood for the game extremely well. Rebel Strike's theme, on the other hand, has the tone and feel of a John Williams song, but the form and structure of a Chris Hulsbeck song. However, that shouldn't be a surprise, seeing how Chris Hulsbeck composed it. The funny thing is that when I was a kid, I didn't know that. I didn't even know who Chris Hulsbeck was. No, I actually thought John Williams himself composed this song, as well as the whole soundtrack. Even now, I don't blame myself seeing how it's really that good. Number 9. This one might not be as over the top as some of the other entries on this list, or even the other songs in this game's soundtrack, but it's about as memorable as you can get. Pac-Man World 2's soundtrack is often noted for its epic orchestral score among fans, so it's strange to see more of a subdued theme song, but it suits the game overall very well, and let's face it, we've all hummed it. The funny story is that when I was in middle school, I was going through a Nintendo fanboy phase. As a result, I stopped playing this game in favor of Nintendo games. However, even during that point in time, I still could not bring myself to say anything bad about this theme. And to tell you the truth, I think I like this song more now than I did when I was a kid. Actually, the more that I think about it, I can say the same thing about the game itself, but you've heard me talk about that enough already. On top of being very memorable, the song is just really pleasant to listen to. It's cheery, relaxed, but extremely passionate. Number 8. Whenever the subject of side-scrolling spaceship shooters arises, R-Type is a game that is brought up a lot. As far as music goes, many of us can remember the song that plays in the first level. However, what about the theme songs? Yeah, the weird thing about the original R-Type is that it has many different theme songs depending on what version you play. The original, and the one that has been arranged in subsequent games, goes like this. Riveting. Now listen to the Commodore 64 version. This is yet another Commodore 64 song that has thick texture. Again, I find myself really impressed with how pushing the hardware was this commonplace, and that's not just in regards to the music on the system. Games like Nebulous and Turrican 2 are also huge examples of that on a visual and gameplay level. However, even putting that aside and just looking at the song on its own, it still kicks ass. Number 7. If there's one series I can point to for having an extremely strong track record of having unbelievable soundtracks, it would be the Turrican series. If you like video game music at all, play these games, or at the very least listen to the soundtracks. I've gone on and on about how complex each song's form is, which is amazing seeing how many songs there are in each game. However, as far as the main themes go, let's talk about Turrican 3. This song is a 5-minute epic, shifting through several different tones while still maintaining unity. The song starts off very slow and ominous before it builds up to the chorus. From there, they add several different verses that really stand out. Then there's the finale. Hands down, the best finale that I've ever heard in a video game song. Number 6. We just covered a song that has an epic ending. However, let's talk about a song that starts off epic. Myth, A History in the Making by Jaron Tell. This song is just epic throughout its entirety. but not so much in a layer way, but more so in an awesome 80s adventure film kind of way. Mix that with the awesomeness that is the Commodore 64 SID chip, and you get this song. This song just throws a ton at you, and it all sounds great. The funny thing is that this isn't my favorite Commodore 64 game theme. That would be number 5, Martin Galway's Comic Bakery. This is an earlier song in the system, so it doesn't take advantage of the hardware to the extent of something like Cybernoid 2. However, just as far as the composition goes, this song has one of the most memorable and hauntingly catchy melodies that I have ever heard. I'm not the only one who feels this way, as this song has been remixed a lot. Heck, even in other video games. Listen to the song from Jurassic Park on the NES and Game Boy, for example. Sound familiar? However, yes, if you type in Comic Bakery Remix on YouTube, you're going to find a ton of results. Oddly enough though, despite the theme having a huge legacy, the game itself doesn't. The best thing about the game really is this song, and man is it good. Number 4. So we're done with the Commodore 64. However, we're not done with the Amiga at all. If you're familiar with the system's library at all, you probably have at least 3 of the remaining 4 songs in mind. However, most of these songs made their way to the home consoles as well, and I'll definitely address those instances. Let's start off with one of the most loved songs to come from the system, the theme song for Lotus Turbo Challenge 2. Where do I even start with this one? Well, after one hell of a catchy intro. We get an extremely well-structured melody. After it plays around with it for a little while, we get this awesome solo. This game wasn't just on the Amiga. There's an Atari ST version which has a decent rendition of the song. Heck, even the Genesis version sounds good. This is yet another song that you can find a ton of great arrangements of, and is considered to be one of Barry Leach's best songs by far. However, there's one more of his that I want to cover here. Number 3. You probably weren't expecting a movie licensed game to be this high on the list, however Barry Leach's Lethal Weapon theme is fantastic. The original Amiga game is actually surprisingly decent. However, the game was ported to other systems like the Atari ST, MS-DOS, and the Commodore 64. In addition, there was a reimagining of the game on the Super Nintendo that's well known for being pretty bad. But how does the theme song hold up there? It's even better! The composition is amazing, the orchestration is fantastic, and those chords! That, and you know how I praised the Lotus Turbo Challenge 2 for having a very well structured and pretty elaborate melody? Well, listen to this. How do you even come up with something so ingenious? Number 2. As I mentioned earlier, R-Type had different theme songs depending on what version you were playing, and now we're going to talk about the best theme by far, the Amiga version. It may be a bit strange to see two different themes attached to the same game on this list, but again, we're looking at the themes on their own, not the names attached to them. If this theme was for a game called Bingo Billy's Wacky Cheese Adventure, its placement here would be no different. Unlike the hectic Commodore 64 version, this one is slow and dramatic. In fact, most people seem to prefer this one over the one on the Commodore 64, including Chris Hulsbeck himself, who composed both songs. In fact, I would like to say I like this song more than the game itself. Yeah, and keep in mind, the Amiga port of the game is one of the best there is, and it was done by Factor 5. Again, extremely well done port of a great classic game, significantly inferior to the intro song. Number 1. Okay, if you have ever talked to me about video game music, you saw this coming from a mile away. Yep, it's the Turrican theme song. You saw it coming. However, can you blame me? To clarify, this is a tie between the main theme in Turrican 1 and the theme in Turrican 2. Personally, I find the original theme more impressive in the sense that it shifts through several different moods, with each verse being extremely memorable and are played around with quite a bit. A verse could start off very relaxed and calm before they expand off of it and make it much more intense. This chorus in particular is just flat out awesome, and the rest of the song is just as good. However, even with all these different melodies having different tones from one another, it never ruins the flow. There's always a smooth transition in one form or another, and the song flows extraordinarily well. Turrican 2, on the other hand, while also having a ton of different verses as well as the song itself being considerably longer, mostly sticks to variations of the same sequence. However, that one sequence that they play around with is so good that you don't care. It sounds great. That and the build-up at the beginning is just phenomenal. It really makes you feel like you're in for something truly special, which you are. Both of these songs really get you in the mood to play their respective entry in the series, but also make you want to stop and listen to them all the way through, which is quite an accomplishment seeing how the original Turrican's theme is 4 minutes and the theme in Turrican 2 is 7! 7 minutes! Whenever you ask people about great music on the Amiga, I can guarantee that these games will be brought up. I'm shocked that not too many gamers in the US are familiar with these. I mean, yeah, the Zelda theme is passable, and the Mega Man 2 theme is kinda cool, but this is on an entirely different level. This is the sort of stuff that you bring up in a music appreciation class. What else can I say? I look forward to hearing what else gaming has in store, but it's going to take a lot of effort to top this. So, that's my list. I hope you've enjoyed it and have something new to listen to. If you've heard all these, that's awesome. And if you've heard some really awesome songs that I might not have, I'd love to hear them. Regardless, thanks very much for watching.